It's kind of really simple. It is the right people using the right equipment for the right reason.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the airing of grievances. I'm Eric Reamer. This is Robert Grieve.
Good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
Happy Saturday.
And to you as well. Hey, let's talk a little bit about what's on your mind this Saturday and how it benefits our viewers.
All right. Well, I want to talk a little bit about OEM or manufacturer certifications.
Okay, so OEM.
Original manufacturer equipment.
Okay, so yeah, that's a three-letter acronym that we talk about in the industry, but many times the consumer doesn't know what that is. So
right,
OEM
so is driven by the manufacturer of the vehicles that we drive, and you may find when you're looking for repair shops, they'll say, you know, we're Toyota certified, or we're Lexus certified, or we're BMW certified, or
sure,
which means the manufacturer has endorsed them. Basically, they've gone through some prescribed training and have necessary tools and equipment to fix those specific vehicles, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
All right. Now, is every body shop OEM certified for all these different? I mean, you can't bring your car there if there's not a certification.
No, you can take your car anywhere, and they don't have to have a certification.
Okay.
But the certification offers, or it should offer, something a little bit more than a shop that doesn't have a certification for that particular vehicle.
Which is why you'll see a lot of times on various body shops or collision centers websites, they'll have listed the certifications that they have because they're proud of them. There's a lot of money that goes into the education and the purchase of the equipment and all of that.
It's very expensive in some cases, depending on what vehicle line, whether it be BMW or Audi or, you know, some of your high-line vehicles, and the science that is involved in the repairs required to fix those cars properly. You know, the more money you spend on a car, the more you want to make sure it's fixed correctly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in some people's cases, the least amount of money that you spend on a car, you still want it to be
still want it
repaired.
Fixed properly.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way the OEM does.
Yes. And then there's the distinction right there. And that could just fly over the radar. So I want to kind of draw into that for just a minute. The way that the OEM does, the original manufacturer of the equipment that we're talking about, your vehicle, you want that car to be replaced. If you, God forbid, you get into an accident, you want the car to be replaced the way that the manufacturer says it should be repaired.
Yes.
Yeah?
So my thoughts are, you know, the manufacturer certifications are not just another plaque on the wall. They're a promise. They're a promise to the consumer, and a promise that very well-trained technicians are going to be repairing your vehicle using the right approved equipment, following the manufacturer's procedures, and using the manufacturer's endorsed and required materials and parts. It's a promise that that's what's going to happen.
And it sounds like it's a slam dunk. I mean, you find somebody who's got one of those plaques on the wall or on their website or whatever, and it's done, right?
I wish it were just that simple. It should be, because by displaying that proud certification, it takes a lot to get it in most cases.
Right, sure.
You're making a promise to people that you're a step above somebody that doesn't necessarily have that certification. And it sometimes just doesn't pan out that way.
Let's talk about those times when it doesn't just pan out that way, because really that's the purpose of this conversation. Is we're talking about what happens when bad things happen to good cars. Right?
Yes, exactly right. And, you know, you have an expectation.
Yeah.
Now, everybody's expectation may be different, but in the end, everybody's expectation is it's going to be repaired properly.
Sure.
But it just may not be the case. There's plenty of shops out there that do not do their due diligence.
Yeah. Okay. Even shops that may or may not have those certifications.
A certification, yes.
And you have a 3-step formula, if you will, a phrase that we hear every day here at this shop.
Yep.
Share that with the audience and help us understand where, this is your starting point every morning.
Yeah, it's kind of really simple. It is the right people, our staff, using the right equipment, which is prescribed by the manufacturers to what they want you to use to repair the vehicle and verify the vehicle is repaired properly, and for the right reasons. And the right reasons is the guest and their safety and the retained value of the vehicle. And the motivation is to be extremely proud of what we do. And when we deliver a car, it looks like brand new and operates like brand new.
Yeah.
It's back to the way they want it to be.
Let's talk a little bit about what happens when someone brings their car to a certified shop, right? Certified for whatever, but
Yeah,
in this
could
case,
be Chrysler,
certified
could
for the
be-
car that you're
Yep.
bringing in,
Yep.
right? And one of the three, or maybe multiples of the three in the formula, right? People, right equipment, right reason, are the ball gets dropped. What happens then?
One easy way to figure out if you're in the right place is if you look at their repair plan, their estimate, their blueprint, whatever you want to.
This is the collision center we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they've listed on their aftermarket parts or used parts in some cases, you may not be working with somebody that's got your best interest at heart, because you're not going to find very many manufacturers that are going to approve that sort of behavior.
Okay, so this opens up a big can of worms in the world of perception to the consumer, which is what we're making this video for. Aren't aftermarket parts cheaper?
Yes, they're cheaper, and in many cases far more profitable for the shop. But they're not the right thing for you and your vehicle.
Why?
All these parts interface with each other, and so if you get hit in the front, energy travels. No matter where you get hit, the energy travels, and the manufacturers have designed that energy to travel in certain paths.
Yes.
If you introduce something that wasn't made by the manufacturer, it may divert that path. It may slow down or speed up when an airbag deploys. It may there's so many different things and calculations that it may interrupt. It's not the right thing.
I'm reminded of a time when many years ago, I believe it was Honda, put out a video that talked about the difference in whether or not, with the equipment being different, the difference in timing for airbag deployment.
Milliseconds.
And they did the test, I believe it was with a watermelon, right?
It said, use your melon. If you go on Honda's collision site, you'll find a YouTube video called Use Your Melon.
And we recommend that you go take a look at that, because within milliseconds difference of the deployment of an airbag, which could happen if you have untested and unoriginal parts on there. And of course, cars have so many sensors all over the place. But if you have these aftermarket or untested parts, and it causes even a millisecond of a difference, it's the difference between that watermelon being intact after an airbag goes off,
or exploding into a million pieces.
It's ridiculously powerful, the video that we're citing. I'll see if I can find a link to it and put it in the description box below. All right.
So another, if I may.
Please.
Another thing you want to look for is all these manufacturers also have safety system inspections after an accident. And if you don't find those on the estimate, there might be another red flag.
What is a safety system inspection? I mean, is that like testing the Sensors.
seat belts to make sure that they're operating properly, uh, airbag connections. There's multiple steering column inspections to make sure it hasn't collapsed a little bit.
Yeah.
There's many different inspections for even the different vehicles. So, take a Lexus, for instance. The inspections on an RX might be a little bit different than the inspections on an LX. And sometimes it's about how it's equipped. And but if you don't see these safety inspections on the repair plan or the blueprint, whatever you want to call it, that could be another red flag that might not be in the right place.
All right, and I do want to just ask a question or two about these used parts, right? Why would anybody put used parts on whether it's a new vehicle or not? It just seems counterintuitive. I mean, here we've seen some brand new vehicles. I mean, with 600 or less miles on them, who unfortunately get into a wreck or an accident of some sort, and the insurance company recommends a used part on a brand new, in many cases, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars worth of vehicle. Why?
It saves them money. It's all about reducing the claims expense. And if a used part is available, then they feel as though a used part will be fine. And your policy probably says that unless you have other verbiage in your policy.
Yeah, you should absolutely check your policy to see if you have a rider that says
OEM,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, the original parts replacing for any damage.
Right.
Okay, and then I guess my next question then, Rob, would be, you said it's all about saving people money, right?
Saving the insurance company money.
That's what I wanted to hear. Because we, the common consumer, we sit there and say, I'm all about saving money. I want you to save money, absolutely. But let's make something clear. And
At what expense?
At what expense, right? Here's the truth. You pay all your life, or at least all your adult driving life, into your insurance policy. Those are called premiums. They typically come out monthly. Sometimes you pay annually or biannually. And you pay all your life hoping you never get into an accident, but when you do, you're counting on your insurer to provide a service that is going to, according to the laws of the land, restore your car back to pre-accident condition.
Yep, before what it was like before the loss.
Right? And yet, the insurers, and if you didn't see our last video about the things that the games that the insurance companies tend to play, here's I'll put a link up here to the actual video that we did last week, and I encourage you to go take a peek at that. But what you'll discover is that the insurance company wants to always start with the least expensive to them route of repair.
Right, which is not in your best interest.
Regardless of whether or not it has anything to do with what the manufacturer calls for.
Right, and there's where you need to rely on your shop to advocate for you. And you would think if they have a certification for the vehicle that you're driving and that need to be fixed, there's another level of advocacy.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's not always the case.
Well, and there you have it, guys. So when you're looking for what kind of body shop to choose, you want to make sure that you check the estimate that they give you for the repair of your vehicle, that it doesn't include any of those aftermarket parts or used parts, God forbid. And what it does is adheres to the way that the original manufacturer designed and wants the car to be repaired to those standards.
Yep.
Did I get it right?
Using the right equipment, using the right material.
Performed by the right people.
By the right people, looking up the OEM procedures from the OEM site. All of that stuff is the way vehicles need to be repaired today. It's not like even 10 years ago. These cars are very advanced now.
Yeah. So, Rob, in summary, you started off by saying that having these certifications, which are in many cases an accomplishment for a shop,
Huge.
doesn't necessarily, I mean, having those certifications on the wall, it's a promise.
It's a promise to the guest.
Right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the service that you're expecting with that promise. So is it safe to say, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you go to a shop that has a certification for something and you bring their car with the expectation of the promise being fulfilled, and they put aftermarket parts on, or they put used parts on,
or aren't checking the safety systems,
any of those things, is it safe to say that if a shop doesn't fulfill that promise, that's a promise broken?
it's a promise broken. It's a promise broken. There's a lot of places that do it right. Finding that place is a little bit of the project, and you would think it would make it easier if they had the badge of the manufacturer behind them for you. And there's a lot of shops out there that'll do yeoman's work. It's always still due diligence in the end to make sure you're bringing it to the right place.
Yeah, well said. And that's going to do it for the airing of grievances here on this episode. We do want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us for ours. If you wouldn't mind, give the video a big thumbs up. That is the number one thing that will help grow this channel, and share it with more consumers who need to be aware of the things that they simply don't know. And on that note, we wish you a very happy rest of the Saturday.
God bless.